Mr. Vice Chairman, I welcome the bill that has been brought before the House to remove one of the greatest difficulties experienced by law graduates. It is really a sad commentary that though the Advocates Act was passed only in the year 1961, government have had to bring in as many as 3 amendments within such a short period, and my fear is that government will have to bring in more amendments if they want this act to work well. I will presently point out the difficulties which will be experienced in the working of this act. We are now discussing the third amendment. At the time when the second amendment was being discussed in this house, my feeling was that the government would have to bring some amendments very soon, and my fears, like those of other honorable members, have come true. I am afraid the government will have to bring another amendment very soon. My submission is that the government ought to have brought a more comprehensive amendment to the old Advocates Act. I have no objection with regard to the change in the date. Of course, that was most necessary, but with regard to the rule-making power of the government, certainly I feel that it is a retrograde step. As a member of the Bar Council, I know that our bar councils are not working well. I do not know the conditions of other bar councils, but as far as my state is concerned, the Bar Council is not at all working well. Well, the Advocates Act was enforced and the new Bar Council was created in Madhya Pradesh, and when we first met, the Advocate Journal rightly said that it was a great day for the advocates, that the advocates were their own masters, that they were makers of their own destiny, that henceforth neither the High Court nor the government would interfere in the affairs of advocates. But the experience is that our Bar Council is ridden by factions, regionalism, groupism, and all that. As far as the difficulties in the present act are concerned, I would point out that there is provision for training. Now the government is taking power for making rules. They should make it clear what training they are going to give. As far as we are concerned, it is difficult to give training to the law graduates. There is provision for a disciplinary committee. As far as Madhya Pradesh is concerned, the Bar Council has formed a committee of 5 advocates. I am also one of them, but the difficulty is that the 5 advocates belong to distant places and they cannot meet. The provision is that all the 5 must come together and decide the thing. Otherwise, even if one is absent, the whole proceedings will be nullified. Under the circumstances, the disciplinary committee has not met so far, and I am sure it will not meet any time in the future also. There are so many complaints against the advocates. According to the Advocates Act, neither the High Court nor the government can go into those complaints. It is for the Bar Council or the disciplinary committee. But the Bar Council finds this difficulty. The members cannot assemble and they are busy lawyers too. They will not find time to go into the complaints. Those complaints are lying and they are being filed in the High Court's office. There is another difficulty, that there are some complaints which are old, namely those that came before the Act came into being. Neither the High Court can entertain those complaints nor the present Bar Councils can, because according to the definition in the Act, an advocate means an advocate enrolled according to the Advocates Act. So this council cannot take into consideration any complaints filed previous to the Act. So this is another difficulty. My submission is that the amendment which the government is bringing now is only a half-hearted measure. I would request the government to go through the whole matter, taking the view of the bar councils and also taking the views of leading lawyers, and then formulate new amendments or at least bring a comprehensive law so that the Advocates Act will work well. Otherwise, it will be useless, because although we were told that we were the masters, now we find ourselves helpless. Of course, the fault may lie with the advocates also or the bar councils, but the government must come forward and help the advocates and remove the anomalies which are pointed out. There are other anomalies also, but this is not the time nor the occasion. So I am not dealing with them now. As far as these amendments are concerned, I welcome them. They are long overdue, and when the second amendment was being discussed, there was a suggestion that further time ought to have been given, but the government was so ridden by red tapeism that it always acted on the advice of the officers. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, agriculture is the backbone of this country's economy. Staggering agriculture shatters country's economy, and a strong agricultural sector strengthens the country and its economy. In this respect, not only the present one but even the earlier Ministry of Agriculture has made a remarkable contribution towards strengthening the agricultural sector. I recall the days in 1952-53 when maize, which was the foodstuff of pigs in America, was being exported to India and supplied to the people who stood in long queues to get it. I have seen this with my own eyes. Today, we see both the food and agriculture ministers being taken to task even if a little substandard wheat is sold through fair price shops. Along with the farmers, the officials of the agriculture ministry deserve appreciation for the progress made in the field of agriculture. I also congratulate them for the good rabi crop. As regards the provision of facilities made for the development of agriculture, it leaves no scope for criticism. All these things are ample proof of support of the opposition. By not moving a cut motion, the opposition has also expressed their agreement in this respect. But suggestions should definitely be given because howsoever wisely we have planned our resources, it is never foolproof. Whatever arrangements you have made are most praiseworthy. Still, there is need to think in terms of future also. For instance, there has been a marked increase in the country's agricultural yield, so much so that today India is an exporter of food grains. But we must think of ways to increase our per acre yield. The question before us is whether we can increase our per acre yield in proportion to the increase in population. I would like to mention that the Honorable Minister has performed the role of an able administrator and a chief minister. Today, the country's public looks to him with high hopes. May I know from the Honorable Minister if we are in a position to increase our per acre food grain production? Can we reach the level of Japan, where agriculture production has gone as high as 90% to 95%? Can we plan a manifold increase in the production of wheat? Considering the rate at which our population is increasing, the present yield will be insufficient to feed the masses of this country. I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable Minister towards what is necessary for agriculture in this country. It has been a great misfortune of our country that there has been a drawback in the way land reforms have been enforced in this country. In our country, the size of land holdings has become very small. Every year we see changes in the agricultural implements. Without changing the size of our agricultural implements in relation to the diminishing size of land holdings, we will not be able to make full utilization of our agricultural implements. This aspect should be kept in mind, otherwise modernization of agriculture will not be possible. I request the entire House to ask the government to formulate a long-term plan which envisages viable land holdings where we can use sophisticated agricultural implements. It is true that we have invented new agricultural implements, but there are some drawbacks in their applicability. We have started manufacturing tractors, cultivators, feeders, etc. How can a farmer with only 1 or 2 acres of land put these to use? Moreover, the cost of agricultural inputs has gone so high that the farmer has to bear the burden of debt on that account, and or he is completely deprived of these inputs. Bedecked with money power, the middlemen offer the purchase to produce of the farmers and later on they sell it to earn profit on it. In this way, small farmers are exploited by the middlemen. What I want is that the government should formulate a scheme wherein modern agricultural implements are used by a cluster of 5 to 10 villages so that small farmers can make use of them at a lesser cost. The second most important input for agriculture is fertilizer and seeds. The Honorable Minister has done commendable work in this regard. Crores of rupees are being given to the farmers in the form of subsidy on fertilizers. But I have got first-hand experience at the village level that its full benefits do not reach the farmers. In villages, we are told that benefits are being enjoyed by middlemen instead of farmers. This system should be changed and there should be a reduction in the prices of fertilizers in order to give the real benefit to the farmers. Our country also imports fertilizers. According to my information, there is scope to increase the production of fertilizer in the country. The technology of the 60s, which we have been adopting today, needs to be updated, and the money to be spent on the import of fertilizers should be spent on the modernization of production technology.